Alright, welcome back everyone for another video. So for those of you guys who don't know me, I am Chris and this is Christian Mommy Blog. So earlier, last week I think it was, I had mentioned that I was going to go back into my regular Genesis John Bible studies. Normally I record them on Mondays and Tuesdays, but I've kind of figured out that Mondays and Tuesdays don't exactly work very well. Mondays and Tuesdays being the day that my old man is home, and when he's home he's usually in here and I don't get to actually record my videos unless for some reason he has to go out and do stuff. So I've kind of decided to change my uploading days. I will be uploading Wednesdays and Thursdays, along with Fridays being the random videos, like parenting videos, some of the topic videos I'd mentioned in my previous video from Friday. And we'll just continue going from there. And hopefully that seems to kind of continue going up and up and up. Now, I know I've been pretty good with uploading on Mondays and Tuesdays. I've been very good at uploading twice a week until the last couple of weeks when my camera has been having some serious major issues. Hopefully this time it actually works. But whether it be on my phone, on this camera, or one of my other cameras, I intend to continue uploading twice a week at the minimum, with Friday being the optional random video I can upload. So for this week, this Friday I am going to be uploading another video from one of the topics that I had posted last week. I'm not exactly sure which one I'm going to be posting yet. I kind of want to leave that to be a surprise for you and for me, because I haven't really chosen which topic video I'm going to be choosing. And I don't mean a parent video. The parent controversial videos will wait until next year, because there are just some other videos I want to try and get done by the end of this year before I go back into the parent videos. If you guys are curious about those topic videos, I will have a link and a whatever you want to call. There'll be a link in the description below, and I'll have it somewhere on the screen at the end of the video. And that way you guys can go take a look at them, kind of maybe get an idea of what videos I'm going to go for. But I'm not exactly sure which one I'm going to choose. Okay. I like to leave that for surprise. But I will take a look at it tonight and kind of go over and decide which one I want to get prepared for tomorrow. Now, for today, I am going to be doing Genesis 19 and John 18. Now, first off, I really do want to apologize for my last John video, John 17. I was having so many problems with that video that I just did an audio version of it and I uploaded it that way. If for some reason you guys don't like that, let me know in the description below for that video, which will be in the end of this video as well. And I will redo that video like this. Okay, I had a lot of problems with that video and I just really wanted to get it uploaded and posted so I can continue with my John videos. Now, for those of you guys who have not seen my previous Bible study videos, at the end of every single chapter I do, whether it be Genesis or John, I have a playlist somewhere on the screen that goes to that book's playlist. So you guys can watch. So like for Genesis here, I will be having on the screen the link and click on whatever you call it that'll go to my Genesis playlist, where I will have Genesis chapter 1 through 18 completely done for you guys can go ahead and watch. Same thing with John. So if you guys have not watched my previous Genesis videos, go ahead and go take a look at those, or at least go read the chapters so you guys get an idea of what I'm going to be talking about here in chapter 19. Then you guys can kind of also get an idea of how I do my Bible studies. So, just real quick rundown of how I should do my studies. I read the chapter all the way through, and then I go back and I go over the notes. I point out I point out names and what they mean. I point out dates. I point out people and people who are just in the things, and kind of just breaking it down for you guys to understand it easier, the way that I kind of understood it. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into Genesis 19 with the reading of it first. Alright, so it says, just so you know, I am reading from the ESV version, the English Standard Version. So if you have a different version like NIV, New King James, whatever the versions are, they will be slightly different, but they'll be basically the exact same. Alright, now let's go ahead and get it. So it says, the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them and bowed himself to with his face to the earth, and said, My lord, please turn aside to your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet, that you may rise up early and go on your way. And they said, No, we will spend the night in the town square. But he pressed them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered his house, and he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man, surrounded the house. And they called to Lot, Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them. Lot went out to the men at the entrance, shut the door after him, and said, I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Behold, I have 2 daughters who have not known any man. Let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you please. Only do nothing to these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof. But they said, Stand back. And they said, This fellow came to sovereign, and he's become the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them. Then they pressed hard against the man Lot, and drew near to break the door down. But the men reached out their hands, and brought Lot into the house with them, and shut the door. And they struck with blindness the men who were at the entrance of the house, both small and great, so they wore themselves out, groping for the door. Then the men said to Lot, Have you anyone else here, sons-in-law, daughters, sons, or anyone you have in the city? Bring them out of the place, for we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry against his people has become great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and said to his sons-in-law, who were to marry his daughters, Up, get out of this place, for the Lord is about to destroy the city. But he seemed to his sons and sons-in-law to be jesting. As the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, Up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be swept away in the punishment of the city. But he lingered. So the men seized him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand, the Lord being merciful to him. And they brought him out and set him outside the city. And they brought them out, brought one saying, Escape for your life. Do not look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Escape to the hills, lest you be swept away. And Lot said to them, O no, my lords. Behold, your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have shown me great kindness in saving my life. But I cannot escape to the hills, lest the disaster overtake me, and I die. Behold, the city is near enough to flee to you, and it is a little one. Let me escape there. Is it not a little one? And my life will be saved. And he said to them, Behold, I grant you this favor also, that I will not overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Escape there quickly, for I can do nothing till you arrive there. Therefore the name of the city was called Zor. Now this is where God destroys Sodom. Okay. The sun had risen on the earth when Lot came to Zor. Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew the cities and all the valley and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. But Lot's wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord. And he looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the valley. And he looked, and behold, the smoke of the Lamb went up like smoke of a furnace. So it was that when God destroyed the cities of the land, or of the valley, God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out in the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot had lived. Now Lot went up out of Zor and lived in the hills with his 2 daughters, for he was afraid to live in Zor. So he lived in the cave with his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to come in to us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve our offspring from our father. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father. He did not know when she lay down or when she arose. The next day the firstborn daughter said to the younger, Behold, I lay last night with my father. Let us make him drink wine tonight also. Then you go in and lie with him, that we may preserve the offspring from our father. So they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger rose and lay with him, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Thus both the daughters of Lot became pregnant by their father. The firstborn bore a son, and called his name Moab. Ugh. He is the father of the Moabites to this day. The younger also bore a son, and called his name Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites to this day. And that is all of chapter 19. Alright, so... Oh, my hair is annoying me today. Alright, so now like I said, the thing I do is I kind of go over what I took, what notes I took, because I take a lot of notes in my Bible. So I'll show you right for it. See, that's kind of, you guys get an idea. I highlight a lot of things. As you guys can tell, I wrote a lot of things. I put sticky notes into my Bible. I do tend to take a lot of notes in my Bible and make notes of everything, and I kind of circle things and I just draw doodles and whatnot, so I have a lot of notes in my Bible. So let's go ahead and just go over what I kind of pointed out, and then see how what we've learned from this. Alright, so earlier in chapter 18, we had heard that there was 3 men who came before Abraham, and they were making their way to Sodom and Gomorrah. One of them was being the Lord, and the other 2 at that time were just called men. We did not know what they were. We did not know if they were angels, or we just knew that they were different. Now, the very beginning here, in the very beginning of 19, it says the 2 angels. So, if you didn't look ahead when you're reading chapter 18, you now find out in the beginning of 19 that they were angels. Okay, so, and Lot was sitting at basically the entrance to Sodom and Gomorrah, to that city where he had chosen to go live and reside in. Okay, at this point, like I said, at the very beginning of the point, these angels, are going to Sodom and Gomorrah to go be basically judges of the city, to see whether or not there's any righteous people in there, to see whether or not it is deserving of being destroyed. Okay, and that's kind of what they were supposed to be, what God was trying to say that they were going to be doing in chapter 18. Sodom and Gomorrah is extremely corrupted, extremely vile. They are extremely sinful, and he was going to go and judge them and make sure that they were actually as bad as the outcry was coming out to be before just automatically destroying the city. Okay, So Lot met with them at the gate, and he told them, "Come and dine with me, and wash your feet, spend the night, and then you can go get up early in the morning and continue on your way." But the angels were kind of insisting on going to stay in the town square, probably because they really wanted to see what would happen and how the men would fade. But for some reason, Lot insisted on them coming to stay with them, probably because he was getting this kind of feeling that something was going to happen and that he needed to protect them. Or maybe it's because he could tell that they were different, that they weren't actually human, and he needed to protect them as well, kind of to prove his points of what God was saying, that there are some righteous people in there, and Lot was the righteous family. So they go and they stay with Lot. He makes them a feast. He bakes unleavened bread, which is basically making bread in a real haste. And just before they're trying to go to bed, it says, "The men of the city, both young and old, all the people to the last man surrounded the house." So at this point, they are literally stating that every single man, or every single person in general, has given over to sin, and they are now pressing in on Lot's family and Lot's home. Okay, and it says, where are the men who came to unite? Bring them out to us that we may know them." Now, previously I had mentioned in my John study what it means to know someone. It is also mentioned again. It is also mentioned again in verse 8, saying that he has 2 daughters who have not known any man. Okay. Now, when Mary was pregnant with Jesus, she was a virgin. She didn't know any man. And then at the very end of that chapter, it says that Joseph didn't know Mary until after she gave birth to Jesus. Okay, and that in the word term "know" means is that he didn't know her sexually. He had not had sex with her. He had not had any kind of intimate relationship with her. So when it's saying here that we may know them, they're literally saying, "Hey, we want to have sex with these angels. We want to have sex with these 2 men." So they want to know these men intimately. Okay, and then of course when it mentions in verse 8 saying he has 2 daughters that he's willing to bring them out, that they not known any man, it means that they're virgins. They hadn't had sex with anyone. Okay, now just that alone, the fact that they're trying to say, "Hey, we want to have sex with these men," that is referring to homosexuality. Now, the Bible condemns homosexuality in the same context as incest, bestiality. Okay, that whole entire section right there, you can find in in Leviticus 18:22 and 20:13. Okay, I did look this up. Okay, so continuing on. Lot goes out. He closes the door, making sure it's closed, that they cannot get in after him. And he's basically saying, he's basically pleading with them, trying to say, "Hey, don't go doing this. This is wrong. They have come in on my household. They're under my protection. They're my guests." But instead, he's offering his daughters up to them instead, and because his daughters are virgins, they have not had any kind of intimate relationship with anyone. So while that is, it's not exactly, it's a horrible thing that what he's doing. He's offering his daughters up in replacement for these two men, these angels, and it's not really justifiable. But on the principle, the premises of what he's trying to do, is kind of actually nice. I mean, it's not nice that he's offering his daughters up to these sinful men. But the idea that he's trying to protect these two angels, these two men that have come into his household, that is the aspect I'm talking about, is actually an honorable thing, I guess. Just not the actual act, the actual substitution of what I'm trying to say. So he's trying to take the substitution of these two men and substitute it with his two daughters. So that part I don't see as being really justifiable, and that's a really horrible thing to do. But so you have his daughters here and you have the two angels. It's the act right here that I'm saying is he is willing to try and help these two men by doing something else, giving these guys something else that'll be a little maybe more in their interest. Yeah, I'm not sure if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. Just remember, I'm not saying that him offering his daughters for substitution is a good thing. Just the actual act, the idea that he's trying to help is. Alright, so let's just move past that and hopefully it makes sense. So they say these two fellows have come to sovereign and he's become a judge. Now we will do worse with you than with them. So he's literally saying, well, first off, sovereign means to temporary stay. So these men have come temporarily to stay, and he has become the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with these men. Okay. So then they pressed hard against Lot and his house and trying to get in to get for these men, and they're that close to breaking down the door. Now when you have one guy trying to keep back however many men are outside the building in a whole entire city, odds are you're going to lose. They're going to get in no matter what. And now the fact that these two angels that had came to Sodom and Gomorrah, they were able to reach out the hands and bring Lot into the house with them, shut the door, and then struck them with blindness, so that they were groping around trying to find the door. Okay, that alone screams supernatural. Okay, they are not omniscient like God is. They're not all-knowing, but they do have some kind of supernatural power. They're extremely strong, which is why they would bring Lot into the house to close the door and keep him getting in. But they also do have some other kind of powers too, where they're able to blind these men, these guys outside the house, and keep them from actually continue trying to get into the house. So then they turned to Lot and asked him, hey, do you have anyone else here in the city? Sons-in-laws, other daughters, other sons, etc., etc., any other family? Do you have anyone else in the household? Because come morning, we're going to destroy the city. The outcry against his people had become so great against God, it's become so corrupt, they're going to destroy the city. There's nothing around it. There's no stopping them now. And the fact that these men had tried getting in to basically and essentially rape these two angels just proved how corrupted they have gotten. Okay, so Lot did have two future son-in-laws. Okay, so he went out to his sons-in-laws who were about to be married to his daughters. They weren't married yet, but they were going to be married to his daughters. And he basically told them, hey, we need to get up. The God is going to be coming and he's going to destroy this entire city. But as you can tell, it says he seemed to be to his sons-in-laws to be jesting. In other words, joking. Which, if you've read the previous chapters, this is a very clear effect of Lot's life of compromise. Okay. Okay, here we go. So as morning dawned, the angels urged Lot to get up, take his daughters, take his wife, and get out of the city. And thus they wanted to be swept away in the judgment of the city. There's no delaying of the city at that point. So obviously at this point, if you guys, like I said, if you read chapter 18, where Abraham interceded for Sodom. He managed to get God to agree that if they found 10 people, righteous 10 people in the city, that he would spare the entire city, which obviously he did not. He didn't find even 10 people. So there's no way that there's nothing that's going to stop the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. But Lot actually lingered for a little bit, probably because his heart and his soul, not his soul, but his entire life was in Sodom and Gomorrah. He had lived there for so long, and he just couldn't bear the thought of actually leaving, but he knew he had to. So the angels basically seized him, his wife, his 2 daughters, and they basically forced them out of the city, because God being a merciful God, did not want to kill some righteous people, and he was keeping his promise that he made to Abraham of not destroying the righteous with the wicked. Okay, so once they had been brought out, the angels continue saying, hey, escape for your life, do not look back, or stop anywhere in the valley, escape to the hills, lest you be swept away. There are other versions of the Bible, like I said, the New King James, the NIV, all of them. They might change how they're actually. I thought that my alarm was going off. Some of them say, hey, if they turn around, they'll be turned into a pillar of salt, which is where it goes into verse 26, when it says Lot's wife turned around and turned into a pillar of salt. But mine says that they would be swept away. So at this point, they are really urging Lot and his family to leave and escape and everything. And then Lot was basically saying, oh no, my lords, which, to be honest, that really sounds pretty pathetic to me. I knew it. Okay. And he says, hey, I found favor in you guys' eyesight. I can't escape to the hills because it is way too far for me to reach. Let me escape to this one little city right here because it's close by. I can easily reach it. So he's basically bargaining for the to flee to a different city other than just to the hills. And he's saying, hey, let me escape there and my life will be saved. And the angels, the 2 men, agree to it. Say, hey, behold, I grant you this favor also, that I will not overthrow the city which you have spoken of. Escape there quickly, for I can do nothing till you arrive there. So at this point, they're basically saying, hey, we can't destroy the city until you guys are out of harm's way. Which is why the city is called Zor. Okay, Zor means small or insignificant. It wasn't really that important. It was a small city. It was not really that important, but for some reason, it became important because Lot and his family was the one who escaped there from the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, so at this point, like I said, the very last line where it says, I can do nothing until you arrive there, that is basically God remembering his promise to Abraham, saying, hey, I will not destroy the righteous with the wicked. And right now, Lot and his family are considered righteous. Now it goes into the actual destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, where it says, hey, the sun had risen on the earth when Lot came to Zor, and then the Lord rained down on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire and destroyed the entire city. It destroyed the city, the valleys, the inhabitants, even what grew on the ground. Everything gone. Koosh. Boom, basically. All gone. Before they even got to Azor, I think it was. I'm not exactly sure where he got to, where this happened. But for some reason, Lot's wife, either she was lingering or she turned around. Some versions of the Bible actually say that she was just lingering, and she didn't. It's not like she turned around. It's just the fact that she was lingering. But mine says here that she turned and she looked back and she became a pillar of salt. So because she turned around, she also faced the same destruction as Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, we don't know exactly the reason why she did. Maybe it's because she was trying to see the destruction, or maybe it's because same thing with Lot. Her whole entire life was in Sodom and Gomorrah, or maybe because she had family there and she just, I don't know, whatever the case is, she turned around and she faced the same punishment as Sodom and Gomorrah, even though she was warned by the angels not to turn around. Okay, so then it goes on to saying how Abraham went early in the morning, so the day of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham came out and he went to the place where he stood before the Lord, and he was interceding with him for the saving of Sodom and Gomorrah. Maybe it's because he wanted to remember God's promise, or maybe it's because he knew something was going to happen. I don't know. Either way, he went to the exact same spot where he was talking with the Lord about trying to save 10 righteous people from the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And at that point, he looks down on Sodom and Gomorrah and he sees the destruction. Well, okay, not the destruction, but he sees the remnants of it. He sees that the valley, the smoke of the land went up like a furnace. So he sees the smoke, the remnants of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. So at that point, he obviously knows that God didn't find any righteous people in the household in Sodom and Gomorrah. There was no saving him. Okay, so God destroyed the cities of the valley, and he remembered Abraham, and he delivered Lot out of Sodom and Gomorrah because Lot was righteous. Okay, now this very last part from 30 until the end of the chapter, I don't fully understand it, or at least why it took place. So maybe if someone actually has a little better understanding of it, maybe you guys can comment below and let me know what your guys' thoughts on this. But okay, so Lot and his wife, or Lot and his 2 daughters, were living in Zoar for a little bit, but for some reason they leave Zoar because they didn't feel safe there. He was afraid to live in Zoar. And he lives in a cave with his 2 daughters. Now, this is what I don't understand. His firstborn daughter says basically, hey, there's not a man on earth to come in after us, after the manner of all the earth. And he says that we may preserve offspring from our father. So at this point, she's basically saying, hey, they really believe there's no one else. There's no other men on the earth. They don't think they're going to be able to continue Lot and his line of descendants because they don't think there's anyone they can marry or basically have sex with, to have babies with. I know there's a less vulgar way of saying that, I just can't think of it. Either way, but like I said, the angels had told them they were just going to destroy just Sodom and Gomorrah, not the entire earth, not the entire population. So I don't really understand why they would think that there's not a man on earth to come in after them, after the manner of all the earth. So I really don't understand that part, is what I'm trying to say. Either way, so let's just ignore that part then. So we have Lot and his 2 daughters living in a cave. They have wine with them, which they lost everything in Sodom and Gomorrah. So they either got the wine from Zoar, or they brought the wine with them out of Sodom and Gomorrah. But the first daughter says to the younger, says, hey, our father's old, there's not a man on earth, yada yada. Come, let us make our father drink wine, get him drunk, and then we will go alive with him, that we may preserve offspring from our father. So she's basically saying, hey, let's go have sex with our father while he's drunk, and that way we can get pregnant with his kid and preserve our line. You know, this is a really big sin coming from the daughters, because as I explained earlier, when the men were trying to have sex with the angels, homosexuality, incest, bestiality are all the basic exact same thing. And right now, this is considered incest. She's having, their daughters are having sex with their father. Okay, so they got their father drunk. The first night, the oldest got her father drunk. She went and she had sex with him, and then she got up and left. Okay, and he doesn't know when she lay down or when she got up. The next day, exact same thing. The oldest daughter said, hey, let's get our father drunk again. You this time go in, sleep with our father. That way we can preserve our line. Okay, so once again, they got the father drunk. The second daughter, the youngest, went in, had sex with him, and then got up and left. So at this point, because of the fact that they got him drunk, they're kind of in a sense, I wouldn't say, well, yeah, it's kind of is involuntary rape. Basically, they're kind of in a sense raping their father because they're getting him drunk. To get drunk means basically you're losing all senses of what you're doing. You're kind of in and out. You're not exactly sure of your own actions. It lowers your standards, basically. So not only is he doing exactly what he suggested the men of Sodom and Gomorrah to do, but his daughters are also taking advantage of him, saying, hey, let's get you drunk, let's go sleep with you so you can preserve. So the firstborn daughter gave birth to a son called Moab, and he became the father of the Moabs today. Okay, second daughter gave birth to also a son who she named Ben-Ami, and he became father of the Ammonites. Now these are descendants. These descendants are enemies, and yet they become obstacles for Israel. Now, I can't exactly say how they become obstacles for Israel because I haven't really gotten that far into reading about them. I just know what I've done research-wise. So, I do know they become enemies, and I do know I've read about them early on, but they do become really bad enemies. They butting heads, but they are technically they're brothers in a sense. I don't know how that kind of works when it's two sisters giving birth to sons by the same father. I think that makes them half brothers. I don't know, whatever the case. But yes, so that is all of chapter 19, and then chapter 20 continues going on into Abraham's and continuing with his story. So now we're kind of done with Lot's story for a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and end that, and then I will go ahead and get into John 18, and then, like I said, this coming weekend we'll do a surprise video. Alright, so let me know if you have any questions about what today's reading was, or if you can, like you said, give me a little insight as to why they thought they were the only people left on Earth at this point. Just let me know what you think about this study. Okay, so make sure you guys hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, the share button, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications for future videos, and you guys stay on top of when I post. And I think that's it. Alright, you guys have a great week and great weekend, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.